Today, we have Cindy O'Connell along with Nathan Pedersen and Todd Zeiler with Tierpoint to discuss untangling the hybrid complexity of modern IT. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for the intro here. So I appreciate everybody spending some time with us today to just chat a little bit about Tierpoint and how we can help you out and your clients out. Like you said, that we do have a nice panel here. If after this call you have any questions or you have an opportunity that you wanted to discuss, feel free to reach out to any or all three of us. We can definitely get you routed to the right place. So I will go ahead and get rolling here. Feel free if there's any questions, type them in the chat, or if you wanted to, we'll save some time at the end. We can definitely go through those as well. So a little bit about Tierpoint. So we are a St. Louis provider of hybrid IT services. So what does that mean? We have 40 plus data centers, coast to coast. We're in 20 markets. This slide's actually a little bit wrong. We have closer to about 45 data centers, but with that, we have about 5 of them that are currently being built right now. There is a huge demand for data center space and power out in the market, and with that, Tierpoint is ready to capture that business. So co-location, so space and power is still a huge part of our business, but we can also have conversations with clients and help out with our hosted private cloud, our multi-tenant cloud, our disaster recovery as a service, security as a service, as well as the managed services that we offer on top of everything. We'll talk a little bit more about that in some greater detail, but just wanted to touch on that. We currently have 800 plus IT professionals. Of that, we have about 350 to 400 that are on our managed services team. So those are the folks that really handle a lot of the day-to-day operations that can take that off of your client's plate so that they're not working on that unsexy stuff that really doesn't help drive the business. It helps kind of keep the lights on. We want your clients to focus more on working at the application layer and driving revenue for the business while we take, like I said, some of that day-to-day work off of their plate. It says that we have thousands of customers. We have close to about 6,000 clients right now. Of that, probably about 25 to 30% of those clients are utilizing us for co-location space. They're bringing their servers into our data center and just utilizing the power, the network connectivity, and the cooling. The other 70%, they're talking to us and working with us on the cloud side, whether it's in our data center or even the public cloud, so Azure or AWS. Wanted to share this slide here about our newest data center here in St. Louis. So anybody that's local here in St. Louis, you know that we had just built a data center in Westport about 2 years ago. So 6 months ago, we actually filled that space up. I think that really hits on the demand that we're seeing in the marketplace, where typically it should take probably 5 to 10 years to fill up a data center of that size. We did it in about 1.5 years. With this data center, we've already got half of it already sold before it even opens. It's going to be opening in November, and this is going to be the biggest data center that we have in St. Louis to date. With this, we're going to have about 20 megawatts of power. And like I said, we've got a client that's already taking up half of that right now, including their right of first refusal, which they are definitely going to pull the trigger on. What's unique about this and what's unique about a lot of the data centers that we're building right now is that demand and the ability to offer that capacity for high density colo. So if you have any larger clients that are really starting to leverage AI, that is where they're going to potentially focus. A lot of those larger companies aren't going to be able to pull those high density workloads into their on-premise data center because, quite frankly, they just don't have the capability to get that power back to their headquarters. They don't really have the infrastructure set up to be able to cool it and to be able to handle those workloads as well. If they were looking to make that change to their environment, that's going to be a very high CapEx expense. So we see a lot of companies that are coming to us and having those conversations. So with that, we're happy to show them what we have in stock or even build out custom deployments. We've got a lot of clients that are doing that, just buying up the entire data center from us. So a really unique place right now, but I kind of see it as the gold rush of 2025, where there's a lot of partners that are bringing these opportunities to us, and they're making quite a bit of money from that. Um, this slide right here, we call our Jeopardy slide. It's by far the wordiest slide and just the busiest slide that we have here today. But I like it because I think that if you're having conversations with your clients, it's always nice just to keep those headers at the top of the columns in mind. If they start talking about any of these services or any of these projects that they have and they would fall into any of these columns, you can quickly go to this slide and reference that and say, hey, I've got a company that can help out here. I can kind of jump through these and let you know what we're doing in some of these areas. So data center services, we talked a little bit about that. So co-location, bringing in their gear into our data centers. We offer that power, that space, the cooling as well. Cloud services, so that's really going to be an all-encompassing column there. If they're looking to move to the cloud, that's going to be a great conversation for us. We can offer a lot of different flavors of cloud, and what we like to do is just get in early. We like to understand the client's workloads and then start to point them in the right direction for their workloads. There's a lot of different assessments that we can do and just a lot of questions that we can ask to say, hey, with what you've got going on, it makes sense to go to a hosted private cloud, or maybe going to Azure or AWS starts to make a lot more sense. So we love, love, love to be in those conversations. Down at the very bottom, I also have IBM. So that is still very much looked at as a mission critical system for a lot of clients. And we still get into a lot of conversations around IBM. We're seeing a lot of the IBM staff retire out right now. And with that, companies are struggling. They're scrambling to see, hey, if we host this on premise, who's going to manage that? Or we don't even want to own the IBM environment anymore. Just push it into a hosted environment, let us manage it, and then we can get all that connectivity back to them or to the public cloud, wherever they need to get to. We can help out with that. Security. So we offer quite a bit of security. If they're looking for like a security, a SOC, we can definitely help out there. But a lot of the security that we offer is going to be bolt-on services inside of our data center. So if they're looking at like a hosted private cloud, or if they're looking at DRaaS, we can add some additional solutions there. Network, that's not going to be your traditional network. We don't want to step on your toes at all. We're never going to sell any sort of MPLS or SD-WAN solutions. This is once again going to be, if they're in our data center, they're trying to connect up to the public cloud or they're trying to get out to the public internet, we can offer options there. We have all the different carriers in our data center. So we really want you to go out there and sell any of the connectivity to the data center, and then we'd be able to sell from there as well. Managed applications. These are going to be few and far between. Pretty much every company in the world is utilizing Microsoft 365, so we can help out there. We can take a lot of work off of their plate, but we can also do managed Active Directory, Windows OS, Linux OS, database management, patch management, help desk services, and managed SAP. Any applications that fall outside of that, we're really not going to be all that great at. We always think of ourselves as managing up to the application, but not through it. We'd basically be the masters of none if we tried to manage the applications. So our clients typically do that while we are able to take all the care and feeding underneath the application so that they can focus their time there at the application layer. Storage and replication, that's going to be a big part of it. That's going to be a big part of any of the cloud services or recovery services that we put together. So we've got a lot of different creative ways of solving for the storage issues. But once again, I'd say that is going to really be mixed in with any of the production cloud services or the recovery services. Recovery services is a place that we definitely flex our muscles and we can help out a lot of clients. I showed that footprint earlier of the 40 plus data centers that we have coast to coast. It just makes sense. Even if they're not in our data centers, they can leverage us for a disaster recovery as a service site. Or if they are in our data center, they can pick a second site and push their workloads to another, or push their data, replicate it to another site there. We can also offer backups for more of that long-term retention, Microsoft 365 backups, on-premise backups, VM replication, and then once again, the IBM Z series. So we've got all these different solutions covered here. We love to get into those disaster recovery conversations. Professional services, so that is really looked at as the catch-all. If we're looking at selling any of these solutions to the left of that, that can really help grease the skids. So let's say if a client's moving into a hosted private cloud and they're just saying, how are we going to migrate to that? Our professional services team is able to come in and help out with that. If there's a company that's leveraging us for just co-location space and saying, hey, how are we going to shut down our data center and move all that gear physically to your data center? Once again, our professional services team can come in there and be the Navy SEAL to take care of that in a quick and efficient manner. On the pre-sale side of things too, we also engage with our professional services team quite a bit, where if we're talking with clients and they're saying, we don't really know what the size of our environment is, we don't understand where the app dependencies are, and what's going to be the best fit for us. We can leverage our team. We can pull in our professional services team, do assessments, do business impact analysis, and really start to get that scope and sizing in a tight fit there. So they're really, really helpful to grease the skids, but at the same time, you would still get paid on either professional services engagements. So recovery services, I wanted to focus in on this. I'm not going to go any deeper than this because I think, if you're hearing that you're talking to a client, they want to talk about recovery, they want to talk about backups, anything like that, bring us in. We're more than happy to have a conversation. That's where we want to get in. We can do all the qualifying needed to make sure it's going to be a good fit. But why is recovery services, why is disaster recovery important? It's always been a pillar product at Tierpoint, but now more than ever, it is something that we're seeing just fly off the shelves. The reason for that is clients traditionally looked at this because if they were in a data center, they were worried about power outages, they were worried about weather events, or somebody coming in and cutting a cable or cutting a line to get back to that data center. All of those are still threats out there, but really the biggest threat that we're seeing right now is ransomware. I'm sure you're all familiar with that term, but basically what happens is a ransomware company comes in, they're able to get into a company's environment and they can encrypt it. So what they do is they lock it up. They have all the data, but it's worthless to those companies. And then they say to get the code to unencrypt this, you have to pay us $500,000, $1 million, $5 million, whatever it's going to be. So that's definitely a bad day for that company and definitely for that CIO to have to go to his leadership and say, hey, I'm going to need $500,000 to get us to the state we were at a day ago. With our recovery services, we have the ability to, if they get hit with a ransomware attack, figure out when that ransomware attack got into the environment, and then go to a day before, go to an hour before, whenever they want to fail back to, and then just blow away their production environment and say, okay, hey, we're here where you don't have that ransomware in there, and we can fail back to it and save them that $500,000 to whatever number that the attackers are asking for. So it is a really nice defense. Sometimes clients look at it as a high price insurance option, but then whenever they get hit with a ransomware attack and they've got to spend all of that money, this looks very low cost in comparison. So we've got multiple different flavors there. Like I've got listed here, disaster recovery as a service. That's going to be more of your quick, being able to recover as quick as possible. Our SLAs show that we're going to be able to recover 10 VMs every 15 minutes. We have backup as a service that's going to give more of that longer term retention. So if they have to go back and recover something from a month ago, 3 months ago, a year ago, potentially 7 years ago, we can help out with that and pull that data back. M365 backup and recovery. So if they're trying to back up their email, we can help out there as well. IBM, I touched on that. So we don't just do the x86 environment. Business continuity seeding, I'd say that's more of a thing of the past. With COVID-19, folks are able to work from home, but we still do see companies that are more seasonal in nature. So like Omaha Steaks, where around Christmas, they are really ramping up and they've got to hire maybe double their workforce. Business continuity seating is going to be just desks that we have with dumb monitors and then phones that we can always hook up to and get them space to work. And as they need that, they can ramp it up. And then after like the holiday season, they can ramp it back down and they don't have to rent any more space or get any of that gear for their employees. And then once again, professional services, that's going to be just used to help grease the skids across everything. Uh, oh, this is some fancy graphics here on this, but this slide's going to be around our Azure Stack solution. So since the last time I spoke with everybody here, we've added Azure Stack. Azure Stack is also now called Azure Local. What it is basically a hosted private cloud for Azure. Typically, it's going to be used by larger companies that are already in Azure. So Azure Native is going to be inside of the Microsoft data centers. Azure Stack is going to be more on the edge. That's going to be inside a Tierpoint data center, and in some instances, also inside of a client's data center. The reason for Azure Stack is it could be anywhere from compliance, where if a company says, I need to know exactly where my data is, what machine it's on, we can offer that with Azure Stack and get that hosted private cloud. Also latency. So if their end users need to access an application, it needs to be a little bit closer to their end users. We can offer that with this footprint here. This can sit in any of the Tierpoint data centers. We can build that out, get it much closer than where the Azure environments are already at. With this, we have the ability to connect up to Azure Native. But once again, I would always think of this as something that's going to be nice for those larger companies. If you have a mom and pop shop or a company that is just dabbling in Azure, maybe spending $10,000 to $20,000, probably not going to be a great fit. More of those enterprise level businesses. Public versus private versus hybrid cloud. So I kind of hit on this a little bit earlier. Don't need to go into it too much. We just love to get into those cloud conversations. If they're looking to make a shift away from on-premise or away from their co-location, and they're saying, we want to go to the cloud, help us demystify it, help us choose the right cloud, we can definitely do that. There's going to be a lot of different ways we can do that. Bringing in Nathan, bringing in a solutions architect as well, bringing in our professional services team, understanding more about their workloads. We're going to ask a lot of questions. We're going to understand where they're at currently, where they want to get to, and then we can help bridge that gap and figure out the best solution for them. So we love to get into those conversations. I do have a case study here. This is around our Azure managed services. So one thing that we offer for any client that is coming in to do managed services is a cost containment solution. This is actually a free assessment that we can do before they would sign for anything, but it's also ongoing. So after they would sign with any of our managed services on Azure, they would continually get this. Essentially, what cost containment is basically it takes a look at their current spend, and we can say, hey, you're spending 50K, you should probably be spending around 40K. And then we can help them get their environment to that 40K, saving them the 10K. So basically what happened is I was talking with a St. Louis-based payment services company. They came to us looking to put a few different policies into their Azure environment. And we just started asking them questions. What are you guys spending on Azure? How does that look like? Can we take a look at under the covers there and just see how you set it up? The prospect, the client, they said that they were spending about 60K in Azure, and they told us the way that they set it up. And we said, there were some things that were missed in the best practices. Let's just take a look at that. Let's run this cloud assessment for 2 weeks. There's no risk, there's no charge. We'll take a look at that report afterwards and see how everything shakes out. After those 2 weeks, we found out that they were not spending 60K per month. They were actually spending 140K per month. We were also able to show them a path to get down to 80K. And with that, they signed up for our managed services. And over the next 6 months, we ramped them down. So we found that path, we got them down to 80K. And that's where they're sitting at right now, is between about 80 to 85K. Whenever we were talking to them, they had a long list of projects that they wanted to do, but they said they didn't have any budget. So getting them an additional 60K per month, they were able to knock out all of those projects, which just opened doors for our partner that brought us in there. They were able to sell in an additional 35K per month deal that they just were stuck on, that they couldn't find. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help out there and potentially unlock some spend for your clients. This is great too. They were already in Azure, so they were going directly through Microsoft, so we can take over those existing environments. Also, if they're using a cloud services provider and they're just saying, hey, these guys are bums, they're not really doing anything for us, we can take a look at taking those over and putting them underneath the Tierpoint umbrella. Cindy, I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about the marketing tools and just how we can help make more money. So I'll turn it over to you. To you.
Perfect. Thanks, Todd. So we have a variety of tools of ways we can be better partners to everybody on this call. But if anybody's interested, we have lead lists. Todd touched a little bit on IBM, how we can service IBM. We've got IBM lead lists of clients that currently have iSeries, AS400. So those are companies you can call on. If you give us the name and the web domain of any companies that you're looking at going after, TechTarget is an amazing tool. Basically, TechTarget bought the right to 140 different websites, and Tierpoint bought the rights to that data. So when a client, let's say the president of Kraft Foods or the IT director from Kraft Foods goes in and starts researching public cloud, we capture that information down to the end user. So that's great. If you give us about 100 accounts, we'll probably get about 15 that are actively researching, and it constantly changes. So the bigger the list, the better. But that's something we can definitely help you out with. And if you're interested in doing that, just reach out to any of us on this call, and it's very simple to get that process for you. We have email templates, we have co-branded marketing material we can do. And then as far as the partnership, if you get your foot in the door on an account, you're tied to the account, not the opportunity. And on average, Tierpoint is growing accounts by about 37%. So what that means to you all, even if it's like a half cabinet or full cabinet or something small, but then the business grows, you don't need to know about all those additional opportunities. You're automatically tied to that business. So that's important. And then we are offering free public cloud cost containment assessments for your clients. We're running Cloud Checker for a few weeks. Todd used that, tied that back into the case study, but that is something that you can offer to your customers or potential clients as well. And lastly, if there's any additional training you would like, I know this was a quick call, but some hot topics right now, we can dive more into the legacy IBM that we went over, consumption, choosing the right cloud, DRaaS, ransomware, anything that you would like more training on. Nathan, who's on this call, is an excellent resource. He's very technical and can get a lot deeper into the weeds than I can. So next slide, please.
Oh, and just one thing too for the cloud assessments, we usually like to see around probably $15,000 to $20,000 in cloud spend there for those cloud assessments. If it's going to be any less than that, then we typically save probably about 10 to 30%. It doesn't necessarily justify it there for a lot of clients. So just to throw that out there.
And then as an extra incentive, we're going to send this out to everybody that's on the call. But for any deals that you register with Tierpoint for a new opportunity, we're going to send you a $25 gift card. If you set up any data center tours, even at our new facility, we're going to send you a $100 gift card. So we'll put that in writing for you all. Now, I will check the questions. I don't think we had any questions, so we can pause there and see if anybody has anything for us on this call.
And I would recommend definitely taking advantage of that, having any of your clients tour the data center if there's any interest. Our facilities are top notch whenever they go through there. I always think of IT folks as kids in candy stores whenever they're coming through our data center. They get very excited and they say, hey, this is where I want my workloads to land. So we can help out with that.
Okay, so
Um,
one of the questions, Todd, is do you provide tier one IT help desk services?
yeah, definitely. So we have a help desk team that is up in Omaha. So that is going to be all, US based, 24/7. So we can help out there.
Yeah, and whoever put that, if you want additional information, we can send you all the intel on our help desk services. Okay, the next question. What is the ideal customer for cloud spend again?
Yeah, and this is going to be more for anybody that's existing Azure or AWS. I would say $15,000 or more. If it's 100,000, if it's a million, great. Hey, I would love that. But I'm just saying, really nothing less than that $15,000. It doesn't necessarily justify the free cloud assessment there. Do you have a nationwide tech dispatch? So we don't have that. We wouldn't have anybody that would be like slamming doors or anything like that and going on site. That could be something if it would be part of a larger deal that our professional services team could help out with. We might be able to get you in touch with some folks, but no, we don't have anything there.
And we do have some
Pen-
partners we can work with if that's something that you need. We do have some partners that are local to you all that we can work with.
Yep, and pen testing. So there's a question if we have pen testing. So we can do pen tests on our own environment, but then once again, kind of going into that catch-all, our professional services team, we have folks that can go and do those pen tests. Yeah, so definitely can help out there.
And then
With tech, oh yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
I was going to say, I can take this one. So with Tech Target, the question is, do you provide intent data for just your services or everything that the customer may be looking for? So we do offer 140 different products and services. The intent data is set up just for like IT related things that would be relevant to Tierpoint. So we're not going to see if somebody's using UCAS or something like that. But the intent data does give us, I mean, it's everything around cloud, data center, colo, and it does go outside of the Tierpoint realm a little bit. So it is useful data. Okay, I think that's it for questions. Does anybody have anything else? We just have a few minutes left. So if you have any questions, I would type them in now.
And don't hesitate to reach out to any of the three of us on this call. After the call, if you have any questions, if you're asking about like a specific client and you're saying, hey, this is the scenario, we're happy to talk through that. If you think that maybe your client would be interested in just talking at a high level, we can definitely help out. DAS. So what would DAS be?
Talking about desktop as a service.
Okay.
That's what okay.
Yep.
Yeah, did you want to catch that one, Todd, or you want me to
Oh,
go
go
ahead and
ahead,
address
Nathan.
it? Yeah. So desktop as a service, we can host infrastructure, but we're not going to get down to the level of handling the images and like gold copies. So that is where we probably look to leverage another partner, or if the customer can assist on that front, we can help from the hypervisor down. The only caveat to that real quick, Cynthia, is we can help in Azure Virtual Desktop. So I did want to throw that out there. If there is a need for something like that, then by all means give us a shout and we're happy to dig in.